Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I want to give you 2 tips on how to mix vocals faster. We're going to be looking at how to speed up your vocal mixes today, but before we dive in, if you are ready to take your vocal mixes to the next level and really start perfecting your EQ strategy, then I have just the thing for you. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through EQing your vocals step by step to help you get polished and professional sounding vocals without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and talk about how to mix vocals faster. So we're going to be looking at 2 tips. The first tip we're going to look at is when you have vocals that are the same on tracks. So in this instance here, we have a lead vocal and then a pair of backgrounds as well. Now, the pair of backgrounds is singing the same part as the lead vocal, and it's sang by the same person singing the lead vocal. So, to make this vocal mix quicker, we've already mixed it on the lead vocal. So what we can do, in Studio One, you can drag effects chains. So we can just drag this effects chain over to our background vocal chain. And that's exactly what I did here for these background vocal mixes. So if I take off all the plugins here, let me play you the lead vocal by itself, and then I will throw in the background vocals as well. You can hear they're singing the same exact part there. Oh, where's my microphone at? There we go. Okay, so here's the lead vocal, and then we'll listen to the backgrounds as well.
I'm scared to death, my merry death, but I give my best for whatever that's worth. I'm scared.
So you've heard that part. Let's take a listen to just our background vocals. They're just singing this last line with the lead vocalist.
Whatever that's worth.
So you can hear it's pretty much the same part, same vocalist, probably the same microphone, same room. So here's both together.
For whatever that's worth.
Not too much a difference in range, so copying over our effects is a quick start to give us a fast vocal mix. So let's put in all of our EQs and compression here. I'm going to leave the reverb off just because our vocal's in solo. Take a listen to this section here one more time with our effects in now.
For whatever that's worth. I'm scared to death, my merry death, but I give my best for whatever that's worth. I'm scared to death, my merry, for whatever that's worth, for whatever that's worth.
So now we have background vocals that sit perfectly with our lead vocal because it's same singer, probably same mic, same room, and now it has the same processing on it. So they're going to blend really nicely together, even though these are panned wide on the edges. The only tweaks I've made to our background vocals versus our lead vocals is I've rolled off a little bit more of the low ends. You can see we've got that same boost there in the top end, left that alone. All I did here was I got rid of a little bit more in the low mid area on our background vocals, and I rolled up the high pass a little bit further. That way we don't have any low mid mud on our background vocals that are spread wide. That's the only difference I've made. And if you're stacking vocals like this, you usually want to leave the weight for the lead vocal, which I've done here. I've left it in that low mid area in on our lead vocal, and then I'm trimming out a little bit more here on our background vocals. That way they blend nicer, and we're not stacking that low mid area as we stack up vocals there. So that's our first tip. If you have same vocalist singing pretty much the same part, you can just copy your effects over, and you'll be done with that vocal. Second tip for mixing vocals faster is creating templates. So I'm not sure how many DAWs you can do this in, but let's take a look here at, we'll just use this plain background vocal for the moment, or actually we could do it on the vocal bus here. So looking at our lead vocal. So something you can do in Studio One is you can create and save effects chains to just load up when you're going. So I have one for mixing start. So when I'm mixing vocals, I can come down here and vocal mixing start and load up an effects chain that I will be ready to go mixing vocals with. So it has my compressor, my de-esser is ready to go, and my EQ is ready to go. So I can just get to work right away on my vocal. But the other thing you can do, if you mix the same band a lot, if you mix the same vocalist a lot, is you can save presets or effects chains for certain vocalists. So say You're always mixing a certain vocalist. Maybe it's a female vocalist, they have a higher voice. You're always rolling off everything below 200, maybe cutting some of the 500, some of the nasal area, and you're boosting 8K, right? Just get some of that air. You could save this in your effects chain. So then you get your compressor set right, get the vocal compressed, maybe we pull our de-esser down, we have our vocal being de-essed. So now we have an effects chain that we can save this way. So all we do is we come up here, this little arrow pointing down, and we can store effects chain. So we can go here, and maybe we could call it whatever the vocalist is. You could call it female vox start, right? So then you have a chain that you can load up. So if we nuke this one, say we have a female vocalist, one that we mix all the time, and we have our preset ready to go. We can come here, load up female vox start, and we're already at a good place vocal-wise with this mix. We can load it up, and our vocal will be sitting at a good point that we can pull it up in the mix and get working on the rest of the track without having to worry about our vocal not being able to compete or not taking up the space it will take up once you get it mixed. It's always a little bit difficult when you're mixing to hear or leave space for your vocal if it's not in there. That's why you don't want to mix with your vocal muted, right? If you get your drums built, get your bass built, you want to get your vocal in as fast as possible so you can build the mix around it. That way you don't get to your vocal and you pull it up and there's no space left for your vocal. Your vocal is one of the most important parts of the mix, so you want to make sure there's room for it. You don't want to be carving out room for it afterwards. You get your instrumental built, you get your vocal in, and suddenly there's no room for it. This here is an easy way you can get your vocal in from the start without it sounding too bland or too dull, right? If you pull up just a dry vocal as you're building your mix, usually it doesn't sit where it's gonna sit when it's finished. So it doesn't take up the frequency range it's gonna take up. Usually it has a lot of low mid mud. So if you make room for that low mid mud and then you cut it out, you're gonna have a weird frequency imbalance later. This here is a good way to get you a little bit closer to a finished vocal mix that you can pull up and have it sitting competitively in your mix. So you have in the back of your head, okay, I kind of know where my vocal's going to be sitting. Those are the two tips. Quick one here today, but they're quick tips to make you faster when you're mixing. So the first one is if you have similar vocal parts, so same vocalist singing pretty much the same part on a track, in Studio One, you can just drag effects chains over. If you're working in Pro Tools and something, you can always just drag your plugins over one by one and fill the slots, and then you're ready to go there. Just make sure you tweak if you need to get rid of any extra low end on background vocals, or if you need to change the compression settings because maybe your backgrounds are a little bit quieter than a vocal. Just tweak those things as you go. And then our second tip was creating templates. So the first one is, for me, I have a vocal mixing start. So when I'm loading up my mixes, I go through and I get my effects chains in place. So if you have any vintage plugins too, you'll get that kind of vintage emulation vibe on your vocal from the plugin just sitting on there. And the de-esser's in place too. That way if there's any crazy S's, they will get bumped down from the start. I just don't have any EQ loaded in from the beginning. But like I said, that's the other way you can use effects chains or store effects chains. If you have a vocalist you mix all the time, you can see I have some loaded in here for guitars. I have DI guitar amps, so amp simulators ready to go. I have my plate reverb in here, but you can also save them for vocals. So if there's a female vocalist you mix all the time, a male vocalist, just save an effects chain. You can put their name and maybe vocal start. So it's a starting point that you can pull up that vocal and it will be sitting competitively in your mix from the get-go. Just a quick one here today, but I hope that was helpful for you. I hope it gives you some tips and tricks to start mixing vocals faster and have a competitive vocal from the get-go. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are ready to take your vocal mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your EQ strategy, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and you can download it below to start creating more professional vocal mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.